I'm really enjoying how one chapter is segueing into the next with the battles taking place and the way they're taking place, and especially Kalifa and Nami, and then of course the monster. One Piece, chapter 408, Monster versus Kumadori. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the action-packed and thrill-a-minute, monster-heavy, people with bubble fruit power tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter really saw us with, of course, Chopper eating that third rumble ball and just kind of turning into this cool Yeti-like monster thing, right? And then the end of the chapter, or towards the end of it, last several pages, was actually Nami and Kalifa, of course, in their fight. And Kalifa was, for some reason or another, butt naked in a bathtub, and then got out, got dressed, and this and that. And Nami, it ended up with Nami using her Thunderbolt move, or Thunder Strike, Thunderbolt, whatever. And that's where the chapter left off. The chapter actually winds up picking up right there, and the first half of it actually is devoted to, I guess you would say, the Nami and Kalifa battle, or fight, if you will. And we wind up finding out very quickly as Kalifa winds up dodging. She doesn't actually dodge the Thunderbolt. Nami thinks she completely wiped her out, and then all of a sudden she goes and comes and rises up, and it looks like this like capsule, and it says CP9 on it, and she all of a sudden like appears out of it. It's like bubbles and shit, and you're like, what's going on? What is the deal with this woman, right? Well, we find out within a couple of pages that she actually, and Nami goes and she's like, what, you got like the power of the bubble fruit or something? And Kalifa gets all pissed off and salty, and she's like, yeah, well, even if you know it, there's nothing you can do to counteract it. So apparently that's why she was butt naked in a tub. She actually has the power of these various types of bubbles that she can use. And they can they're not only clean, hygienic bubbles that can wipe away dirt, but they can also wipe away power and stuff like that. And she even says, didn't you wonder why when you came into this bathroom, you all of a sudden like fell to the floor and lost all your power? Nami was actually walking on the bubbles that were there, and those particular bubbles must have been ones that were, would take away powers or paralyze or whatever. And then we find out as she goes to use, she winds up using these golden bubbles on Nami's legs, and her legs become all weird and slippery looking, like shiny, I guess. And so then we find out that the golden bubbles, it makes you all smooth and silky and shiny, just like obviously with with Sanji, with what happened to him. Now I was thinking for the last several chapters that it was some kind of power that she had of like the glass fruit to turn things into like these puppet or marionette type things or what have you. That obviously is not it, but still a very cool, I guess you'd say, power nonetheless, and really funny and kind of, I guess, fitting for her. So there's this one point, and there's this great picture over here that Oda drew of Kalifa looking just so sexy over here, doing her moves and being like, I ate the bubble fruit. I'm a soap person who can create bubbles anywhere on my body. And then Nami goes, wow, so sexy. I wish I had a secretary like that. And then she's like, cripes, I'm talking like a dirty old man. I just thought that was funny to go and throw in that stuff, right? So she goes and she does all this goofy stuff, soapy sheep, and then Nami's like, are you just stupid? And she's like, appearances can be deceiving. Sheep cloud relaxing bubbles. Anyway, she's got all these different types of bubbles and is basically able to go and pretty much freeze up and negate some of Nami's powers at will. Nami and her climate baton are just not going to be, enough as far as what she is saying. And then, as I said, she uses the golden bubbles on her and everything like that. Here, aren't they pretty? Everything I touch becomes nice and smooth. I'll give you a smooth, glossy complexion on every inch of your body. I'm just thinking, oh boy, if this isn't like a softcore porn. Anyway, we wind up leaving those two off in the midst of their fight, and then we go and we see like just the crazed frickin' just wildebeest, messing with Sasquatch Chopper, right? And Chopper is just, he doesn't even know who he is. He's just like this crazy like amalgamation of like a Frankenstein monster and like just like a Yeti or a Bigfoot or something like that, man. And Kumadori's trying to come at him and do this and do that, and he's just not having it. He's just fucking, I mean, just nails him, and Kumadori does his iron body, but it doesn't even matter because he's just, just taking him out. And that winds up going on for a couple of pages. It's so fitting and nice to see Chopper, even though he's kind of just got this crazed look. It's nice to see him go and just beating on other people. Well, not other people, but Kumadori, obviously, who's, been giving him some shit and beating him all around for the last couple of chapters. What winds up happening is then we go back to Franky, and Franky, of course, had beaten his guy, had beaten Fukuro, and he's climbing up the side of the tower to get back up to the original ledge that they were at, right? And as he goes and climbs up over the top, he goes and sees he sees this hulking monster, right? Grabs Kumadori and is just like fucking, I mean, just tosses him out, right? Tosses him so far that then a couple pages later, a couple panels later, we see in front of the courthouse, which is, of course, across the drawbridge that came down and back over, you know, they're in the Tower of Law, and this is, of course, back over in the courthouse. This Kumadori lands in front of the courthouse, and everybody's like, oh my god, who the hell could have done that? What kind of monster, you know? And as Franky goes and kind of puts two and two together and realizes, he's like, are you the deer gorilla thing? He notices the hat, right? Goes to talk to him, and it looks like he just gets wiped out or pushed aside or smacked or whatever by him. And then we go and we see Chopper after we get that check-in with the guys in the front of the courthouse that are basically like, oh my god, what happened? We see Chopper going and just like King Kong climbing up the side of the Empire State Building, man. We just see him climbing up the side of the Tower of Law. And that's how that particular portion ends off. Then we wind up going back to, and I thought this was nice, we go back to the underground passage, which obviously Luffy, we know is, we would assume is hot on the trail because Spandam wound up hearing that boom, you know, that huge explosion. Nico Robin is slowing down, and Spandam's like, what the hell, why are you slowing down? And she's like, I thought I heard a voice. And he orders Lucci to bring her anyway, and Lucci's like, yeah, you know, orders are orders, keep walking. So then we wind up getting, it's great, as they're walking down this hallway, we get Spandam, who goes and talks of his plan and what's going to happen, and here we go. Just stay in your dream world. Soon we'll be at the gates of justice. Right before the gate is the bridge of hesitation. When we cross the bridge halfway and open the gate, the other half will rise from beneath the sea, and finally we'll pass through the gates of justice. And they give you, I thought this was nice, they give you a nice little diagram of what actually takes place and how they get into the gates of justice and how this whole setup is and everything, so you can realize how like desperate it is once you get through there. Well, obviously you're not coming back, you know. And that's what he says. Once the gate is closed again, it'll be over. You'll lose all hope forever. You'll finally pay for all the crimes you've committed in your despicable life. Like what, being hot? Jesus. Anyway, isn't that right, Nico Robin? Ha 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 ha. And then all of a sudden, man, just Robin! And I just, man, ever since the chapter 398, I think it was, when Luffy declared war on the fucking world, you know, and had Sniper King shoot down the flag, I just love that, man. Robin! And I mean, he is just, he's bumped, he's charged, he's chucking down the hallway, right? Then he goes and he actually sees another door, and he's just like, oh, wait, he's like, hey, doors? Yeah, these don't look like they're made of iron, just fucking, just goes right through them, feet first. You know, but prior to that, Lucci's like, director, go and take Nico Robin, get to the gates of justice. You know, I'll stay back and take care of this, you know. And then all of a sudden, Luffy, boom, he's in the midst of this room over here. And how do we see the chapter end off? Lucci just got that sadistic fucking villain look on his face. And you gotta love to hate this guy, man. He's just got this welcome. And he looks like he's just psychotic, you know what I mean? Like, he just lives to fight people like this. And then I love Luffy. Aha, the pigeon guy! So that's where the chapter leaves off, man. And I tell you, I like when it's crossing back and forth, and I've said it a few times in these last several chapters, but I think it makes it so much more interesting, and it doesn't take away from any particular character for 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 chapters, as it has in the past, when you have all these different fights that are 2, 3, 4 chapters each, and you focus just on that one. Then you move to the next one. It does keep it a little bit more sane, and it makes it easier for someone like me that's trying to kind of reiterate and give my thoughts on it and sort of like review and do it in a coherent manner. It makes it more difficult this way, but I don't give a shit because it's much more fun and interesting, and if you can't tell, I'm fucking excited. And you should be too, because this is very, very, very good stuff. Anyway, so that's how the chapter ends off over there. And I guess my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on Kalifa's bubble fruit? You know, is it lame? Is it cool? What do you think? I think it's kind of like cute and funny and sort of like in a sexy way because she is this sort of sexy secretary and she's not like, you know, the most powerful. She's the weakest of the CP9 agents. But the thing about it is obviously she's drop dead gorgeous. She's drawn that way. She's perceived to be that eye candy for us. And she's facing off against Nami, who ultimately is like a piece of eye candy too. They obviously have other talents and things like that too, so I'm not being sexist or anything. But having these two facing off and then just having her power be the bubble fruit, I thought was just the icing on the cake from Oda. So let me know what your thoughts are, though, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next one, nation. I'd like to show her something. Oh boy, I love them boobs. Anyways, remember to follow me on my other channels, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, too.